welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message, hit the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try enforcing some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. But that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 769 of the Trinity Force Podcast. I am your host, as always, N.A. Eric, and tonight we've back off of our week plus hiatus to talk about this Omega Giant patch 12.11, and I'm joined by two of my favorite online gamers and fellow podcasters. Sean, say hi to the folks.
Hello.
And Kai, you're back. You've been gone for a bit. We're glad to have you back, man.
Thank you. My hello will be replaced with saying this. Obi-Wan Kenobi is a dog shit tier TV show. You shouldn't watch it. He's a huge pussy, and I could have done the same damage to Darth Vader with a broomstick, and the outcome would have been the exact same.
Okay.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome to the show. Hot takes right out the gate, and if I had less self-control, I would explode on you in a tirade where I say I disagree with that severely. But nevertheless, we're here to cover
You
something.
can't tell me that he's not a huge pussy. 10 years go by, and he suddenly acts like he's a frail little girl. When Anakin is the one who literally got burned to death.
He didn't get burned to death. He survived.
Wait, fair, but speaking of that, I need to send you a meme that my friend sent me the other day from young Leia, in the first episode where her cousin's saying that you don't need to use like certain language when speaking to lower life forms, you know?
Sure.
And she goes, I guess I don't need it to speak to you then. And it was Anakin on Mustafar. He like gets up and he's like smiling. He's like, damn, burn, that's my girl.
Oh man, that's amazing. Yeah, I don't know. I like the show a lot, but alas, I don't want to dive into that rabbit hole too much, at least not yet. We could talk about it maybe with Master Yi, who's getting a change, and because
Miss Marvel was really good.
It's the Jedi Yi skin, but I haven't watched Miss Marvel. No, I've just been binging.
First episode was pretty good.
I binged through Barry, the HBO TV show, in the past couple of days, and that's fantastic. But yeah. Kaib, how you been, man? I know that you were sick for a bit, and you're packing up for a move. I don't see any boxes in the background, which is good. You cleaned up that a bit, but or maybe behind your head. There you go. There we go. Nice. But how's everything going with you, buddy?
Well, if the old parents are for some reason watching this, I definitely have about 80% of my stuff packed. For everybody else, I haven't touched a fucking thing. And I move Wednesday the 15th, and it's Wednesday the 8th. So not great. But yeah, I had COVID. Kind of kicked my ass for like 10 days. 10 to 14.
Gotcha. Were you able to work at all while that was going on, or no, you just basically took the entire time off?
I took 2 or 3 sick days. I don't remember.
Okay.
But I mean, working from home, I can get away with, not doing as much.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was fine. If I actually had like meetings and stuff that would have kept me busy, I probably would have just kept taking sick days. But it was pretty relaxed.
Sure.
Yeah, and I've just been playing an ungodly amount of ARAMs between. I think the first day I started playing a lot of them, for whatever reason, I hit like 13, and then the other day I got up to 22 in one day.
Dang.
So I kind of hate my life for that, but whatever. Kind of hate solo queue, so I played ARAMs.
ARAMs are just so much fun. I get it. We were playing in community night last night, and I was playing full health Nautilus build, where I ended up like, you're standing there with 100 damage per second Sunfire, just with a fuck ton of health. It was a lot of fun. But Yeah. Okay. Well, we're glad you're feeling better, and good luck with the move. And yes, to Kaib's parents, he's totally packed, almost entirely packed. He showed me on FaceTime the other day, and it's all good. Don't worry about your son.
Yeah, they said they said that my dad was, being classic dad move stuff. He was like, you should probably pack up all your like gaming computer stuff probably like a week before the move.
Then
And
what are you gonna do for a week?
well, you see, here's the issue. I've got matches for my draft league the night before I move. So I can't pack up, and I refuse to let someone sub in for me. So I'm just gonna pack it all that night.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool. Sean, how you been, man?
Hey man, I've been doing all right. It's a little weird doing the podcast again, but we took our week off, and then we had the Mark episode, which like it's a guest episode, so like we don't get to talk as much. So
Yeah.
this is like the first episode we actually get to talk a decent amount on in a while. It feels a little weird, but yeah, I've been doing fine. I had a birthday last week. I'm 27 now. I'm starting to be a boomer. I don't know. It went all right. I just got pizza, me and my girlfriend, and like ice cream cake. We didn't really do much. I don't know.
Here's
We were planning on doing something, and then like we were just both like we don't want to leave the apartment. So
here's the
Dude, that was
important
me
question.
last year. I don't do anything on my birthday anymore. Like,
What?
the only reason I did anything on my birthday is because my girlfriend at the time, Rip, forced me to go out to dinner. And I don't even remember where we went. I think we just got sushi.
Was it good sushi at least?
I don't eat sushi. I eat shrimp tempura rolls, so it's fried shrimp.
Okay.
And I get soy paper. So I don't eat real sushi.
Okay. Gotcha.
But it was pretty good.
I don't understand how you guys don't. I mean, like, I'm not a huge partier on my birthday, but I am definitely someone who I never work on my birthday. Growing up, I never went to school. I would always get a day off of school. I would skip, and I don't work on my birthday. I take a vacation day, or if it falls on a weekend, I don't have to, which is really nice.
Well, this was the first year that like I haven't really done anything. Like the year before, had a pretty big deal. Got a bunch of wings. Watched college football. And
Sure.
then went out and did stuff that I don't remember. And then of course in college, my birthday weekend was always the weekend before the Iron Bowl, so the Auburn game. And it
Oh,
was
gotcha. Football stuff. Okay. Yes, I know.
yeah, stupid, silly, drunk adventures
Gotcha.
for those 4 years.
Okay.
but for me, like yeah, I mean I haven't done really shit since like 21 is like obviously the big one in America. Is it all states that you can only drink after 21?
Yeah.
Or are there some you can drink at 18?
No, it's all.
I think you
it's
can
every
drink with
state.
your parents' permission in your own home
Yeah.
in certain states.
Yep.
Okay.
Even younger
So,
than 18, you can do that in some states. Yeah, but all states.
Hell, I was drinking in the parents' basement at like 14. Again,
Oh.
hopefully they're not watching.
Of course they're not. You can only. It's 21 as a drinking age, but it's a state law in each one because in the 80s the feds. The federal government threatened all of the individual state governments they were going to withhold federal transportation and highway funds, which are like hundreds of millions of dollars a year. It's super important for each state, and they said either raise the drinking age or you're not going to get highway repair funds. And so every state swiftly raised the drinking age.
Well, hell, obviously they haven't been to Memphis because the damn money ain't coming here. These roads suck.
Yeah.
Lower the drinking age. 14.
I know when my parents were young, it was like 18 for beer and then 21 for like liquor and like spirits, which that makes a lot more sense to me because like beer is a lot harder to just get like completely smashed on. But
Yeah.
I don't
Let's just
know.
go back to Prohibition era. It's like when you were drinking before you were 21. Like, you were being a little sneaky snake. Now
Yeah.
it's just like, I can go to the liquor store and legally get this. This is no fun.
Don't even start. I almost went down that rabbit hole of. I took a class in college because I have a history degree from undergrad. So I took a class in college, a history of alcohol, and one of the times we covered was prohibition. So like I did like a whole book report and read over several stuff. We spent a few weeks on prohibition, like super interesting stuff, but a little scary and a little bit dysfunctional country or so. If you want to see a good movie that isn't about prohibition, well, there's actually a couple good ones that I saw this year that were about prohibition. One of them is A River Runs Through It. The only person in it that I recognize is Brad Pitt. It's like young Brad Pitt. It's really good. It's on Hulu. And the other one, ooh, I can't think of the name of it right now, but it has Shia LaBeouf, young Shia LaBeouf, and Tom Hardy.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know what the name of it is, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, if I could look it up, let me see.
While you're looking that up, let's shout out another movie from the similar era. Shout out Johnny Depp, Public Enemies, great movie. Amber Heard, you're trash.
Lawless is
Yeah,
the movie
good
that
movie.
we're talking. It's a very good movie. Yeah, I mean, it's not as good as A River Runs Through It. I'll say River Runs Through It's a lot more. It's a bit more deep and a lot more chill, but they're both very.
Have you
good
seen
movies for
Public
sure.
Enemies?
I have not. No.
It's Christian Bale, Johnny Depp. It's about John Dillinger, Babyface Nelson, the American gangsters, basically. It's pretty good. It's on
Okay.
Netflix if you have it.
Everyone has Netflix, even though like only 7 people are subscribed to it. Everyone in the world has it. Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Yep. Well, enough banter. Although I do love this time in our sessions, gentlemen. Let's move on to. It's been a while since we've covered the question of the week, and there's been one sitting there for a while. So, on actually a little over a month ago, we posed the question: who do you think will win MSI and why? I'm not going to go through each of the comments. There was just some discussions around most people and this was before the start of MSI. Most people thought that it was either going to be T1 or there were a couple of NA fanboys hoping that EG would win. And spoiler alert, they did not. EG did not win. They didn't even come close. T1 did not win as well. RNG won. I enjoyed MSI. I thought it was really good. Like, what are your guys' overall thoughts? Did you enjoy MSI?
No, it was the format just sucks, and
It does.
you can't convince me otherwise. Like how many how many games were played between major region teams compared to like all of the games that were played? It was
Yeah.
so small. Like
Yeah.
I had to wait a week and a half to see T1 play G2.
Yeah, it was a while.
Like that's kind of ridiculous. Like we all know what's going to happen in the first stage. Like we all know the teams that are going to make it to Rumble. Let's just skip to something like that.
Although the Buffalo from the VCS, the Saigon Buffalo, made it, and people didn't think that they were going to. The predictions was PSG was, or no, did PSG get through? I don't think.
It was PSG, Saigon Buffalo, G2, EG, T1, and RNG.
Right. Sorry, the Buffalo were in the same group as T1, and then Detonation Focused Me, and they were what most people considered to be the favorite.
I thought Saigon was going to win that. I didn't think DFM was going to do anything without Aria being there. So maybe that's just me though.
Fun note: Aria has in spring of this season because he's an LCK, he plays for KT Rolster. He's been not great. I think he actually has been replaced by someone else, or a sub has taken his spot, but don't quote me on that. He was fine early on when people didn't understand like his play style, or they didn't didn't know how to exploit his weaknesses yet. But after like the first few weeks, he started to slump a bit. But yeah, I don't know. I agree with you that the format is bad, but I thought the games were really interesting, and we got some 5-game series. We got a couple of 5-game series, so it was really great.
All that matters is NA is better than EU because their match wasn't as much of a blowout as G2's.
Yep, I would agree. I don't agree that NA is better than EU, but I definitely agree with what you're saying.
No, results-based analysis, dude. Better than EU.
Yeah,
Fuck them.
Small sample size theater, am I right?
0-6 against them doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay, so that was the end of that question, and I'll pose the next question after we finish recording this tonight. It will be: do you like the new direction that Riot's taking with Olaf and Swain permanently having their ultimates active while in combat? Parentheses, Zeri is the same way. Close parentheses. I kind of like it. It gives people a clear incentive to understand, or it gives them it teaches people to disengage meaningfully and then be able to re-engage, play on that outside of the skirt, like skirting on the edge of a fight, and playing champions that can do that more successfully. I think that is an important skill to learn. When to disengage, and if you're going to re-engage, making sure you're doing it in the right windows. That's something that's more important as you climb higher up the ladder, I've found. Kaib, what do you think on that? Do you like this new direction that Riot's taking?
With the specifically the durability stuff or the
No,
arms?
the permanent ultimates. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Put fucking Tryndamere in there next. I'll play Tryndamere jungle, and I'm just gonna stick to people. I'll run Kim tank if I have to.
I hate
My
that
ult's
so
never
much.
going away.
I hate that so much.
Hey, I gotta say though, I played Kim tank Vi, full tank Vi. Pretty viable.
Ha! Oh, viable. Oh! Sean, help us out here. Put us onto something a little less toxic. Let's get away from Tryndamere.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried it on Olaf. I haven't really played Swain, but it's like the kind of thing that it sounds super OP in like theory, and then like you test it out, and it doesn't actually feel that crazy, especially since Olaf's ult falls off after 3 seconds now. So like a lot of times people can actually get distance and make it fall off. So like there are some situations it's crazy, but for the most part, it hasn't actually felt like super OP to me. Even though Olaf on 1210 was crazy, but I think that was more because of his other abilities.
Sure. Okay. Well, listeners, we will see what all of you think. And then, yep, I will post that in and we'll get thoughts on that. But without further ado, patch 12.11, gentlemen. So this is a huge patch, and we are not going to cover every single note in detail, as if we did that, by my estimate, we would be here. There's no actual estimate, I'm just making up shit, but we would be here for 2 hours, 46 minutes, and another 13 and a half seconds. It's not a real factual thing. I just decided to make it up on the spot. But on the screen, you can see the patch highlights here. But we're going to go through some of the ones that we picked out as the most impactful. There are definitely some placebo nerf and placebo buffs to have Riot say, hey, play this champion. They're here. Someone needs to play them. And then there's actually some real changes. But so obviously, Belveth is being released. I haven't played on PBE. I think she looks really cool, but we'll report back on her next week when all of us have had a chance to play against her, and with her, or with her, depending on our champ pools and stuff. But
Dude, she's gonna be a jungler.
No shit, she's gonna be a jungler. Her kit is entirely based around jungling.
It's outstanding. I love it.
Me too.
I think I saw Ellis's take was that's worse Shyvana, which is kind of funny, but because
I
Shyvana's
mean,
not even that great.
it's unlimited ramping attack speed.
Yeah. But
Is
we
it only
will.
against like one target? It just doesn't sound good to me, man.
All that matters is
We'll
Bomo's gonna
see.
run it down mid playing it.
Well, Bomo does that with everyone, so.
True.
Yep. Okay, so the first nerf that we want, or the first champion that we wanted to cover. Ooh, who's first in line here? I think it was. Let me see. We just keep going. Gwen was the first one that we wanted to cover. So, Kaib, you chose this one. Why don't you go through it for us?
He made me choose it because he didn't want to scroll down and find it.
I found it. It's on the screen so people can see it, but.
So Gwen is having her W cooldown increased, as well as the armor and magic resist decreased early, and it scales up to what it was. So the bonus armor and magic resist was 20 plus 5% AP. Now it's 20 or 12 scaling to 20 plus the same 5 AP, and then the cooldown was 22 scaling down to 14. Now it's 22 scaling scaling down to 18. So not great, but we'll see.
I didn't even know she got resistances in her shroud, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And the fact that
And
they
then
scale with AP, that's absurd. Sorry, go ahead. I
yeah,
didn't let you finish. Go ahead.
AP bruiser baby. And then her E, the cooldown refunded on the first attack, has gone from 60% down to 50%.
So is this going to be, Kai, you've played a lot of Gwen. Do you think that this is going to be enough, the 60% to 50% on the E? Do you think that now you can still have this permanently up? Not, you never could early game, but like mid to late game, are you going to have enough CDR in a Gwen build to keep this permanently active, or is this enough of a nerf where there's a second or two of downtime without this?
I think that it may force you to substitute an item. Like I would think that you would want to go cosmic more frequently than you were before, if you can.
Sure.
But I mean, I don't think it does a ton. Honestly, I think the bigger thing is the W, because she's supposed to be a scaling champ, right? So this forces her more into being a scaling champ instead of having all of her power up front.
Right. That makes sense. And the W, I think that actually does hurt a lot just by looking at the numbers. Again, I haven't played a ton of Gwen, but excuse me. The bonus armor and MR flat is, you're not going to get that all the way back up until rank 18, until level 18, because this is her third max, correct? Because you're going.
Yeah.
I think you go.
Yeah.
Do you go Q first? Do you go E first? What's her skill order there?
I know in jungle it's Q.
I think it's the same in top too, but I'm not super sure.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, but yeah, I think this is a pretty big nerf to her. Although it seems like it's more punishing at lower ranks, because higher rank people are going to be able to play around that small E nerf and then manage their W more effectively and use it just not off of cooldown, use it when it's important too. That's my kind of read on it. Sean, do you have any thoughts on this?
No, not really. I've never even played Gwen, I don't think so.
Gotcha. Well, you got to rectify that. She's pretty fun.
Well, I don't know. I don't like the kit. I mean, I know what the kit does. I don't like the kit, but
Okay.
it always seems a little OP to me.
It is. Yes, I agree with you. Well, speaking of OP, let's talk about Irelia. Sean, why don't you cover Irelia? Because you played top lane for like 4 days.
4 days. I mean, it was my main role last season. But it just says Q healing increased and the E cooldown decreased early. I mean, they're fairly little buffs.
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know how much it changes Irelia, but
I think this in combination with the buff that we're going to talk about later to Bork is pretty fucking huge.
okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
And before, in the previous patch, when they did the durability stuff and then they decreased healing, they nerfed Vamp Scepter. But this, they nerfed it by, I think, 1, maybe 2% healing, 2 percentage points. And this makes up that difference, but without the future change that we're talking about, Bork. So right now, then, healing-wise, Irelia is healing neutral or healing positive relative to when the durability updates went through. And I only say durability positive because Grievous Wounds got hit super hard. So she effectively, if people still try to itemize against her healing, she's still healing positive compared to before. This E cooldown, not a big deal. Just use your E when you use it a little bit more tactically. Don't spam it. But I don't think people were spamming her E anyways. So those are my thoughts there.
I mean, for me, like, Irelia always just feels like a champion that's fairly easy to play early in lane, and like she's pretty notorious for being very bullshit to play against. A lot of people hate it, but like her like mid and late game like team fighting is so hard, and it's so like you're so squishy if you don't get super fed that like the champion is just not appealing to me at all. It's like one of those like flashy like high YouTube montage champions like mid and late. So like I'm not interested in playing it at all.
Yeah. Cool. One less Irelia roaming around in the world. I'm fine with that. I support that decision, Sean. Thumbs up. Okay, next one is the Kane, or should we say Rost, because this is specifically a Red Kane change. So his Q damage decrease in Red Kane form. So it was, I mean, the change is just affecting ratios. It's going down slightly for your bonus AD. It's not very much because it was 5.5 per 100 bonus AD. Now it's 5, so you're losing half of a percentage point per 100 bonus AD, and Kane's maybe getting 250 bonus AD or so. We're really not talking about much AD. This just seems like something that they're doing just to say they did something for people that are complaining about Red Kane. I haven't felt that Red Kane is too strong as someone that plays Kane from time to time. He doesn't feel bad, but he feels the durability update helped Red Kane tremendously. It still doesn't feel like Red Kane is that powerful, but I might be misreading that based on them nerfing it. I don't know. Kai, what do you think? Do you play Red Kane at all?
Yeah, I think what they were trying to aim at was to push him away from the Manamune second item. I mean, they want to get him back to Death's Dance, Sterix, Thornmail, that kind of stuff. Which he was still building anyways, but he was throwing a Manamune in there. I don't really think that this does a ton, honestly. I don't know, because just from playing today, like the Sterix buffs that we'll talk about later, I think that can kind of replace it because you weren't really building Sterix on Kane right now, anyways. Or
Yeah.
before this buff, so I think you can just slot back in Sterix and it's completely fine.
Yep. So just to put this number in perspective, I just pulled out my calculator. He's losing 0.5% per 100 bonus AD of the target's maximum health. So excluding the percentage of the target's maximum health, we're talking about 10. It's 10 damage that's being lost, and that doesn't even count in armor or people that have low max health there. So you're really talking about minuscule. I know that he uses this a lot in a fight, but it's not losing much damage at all. It's really not.
Well, with the Sterix buff, the additional AD that you're getting there, like it outperforms the damage that you had on Manamune from before. So it honestly, it'll probably break even just replacing Manamune with Sterix, and you're gonna have a giant fucking shield. So
Sure.
I honestly think he might, at the very least, he'll be the same, but he might be better.
Okay. Hot bold prediction: Red Kane's going to be better. You heard it first here, Kybcat on 6/18/22 at some time.
8 p.m.
8 p.m. Central Time. Yes. Okay. Hey, we're all in Central Time. I just realized that because normally we have somebody from East or West Coast with Chaz or Bomo, but cool. Central Team Squad. Nice. Okay. Anyways, next change was Kog'maw. I thought that this was important just based on the Q change. Not that big of a deal. You're losing 2 percentage points shred on the armor and MR, and the bonus attack speed. You're losing 5% attack speed, but you're getting mostly all items that have attack speed in his build anyways, and attack speed is a diminishing return. So getting this, while it helps more early game, once you have an attack speed item or two, will feel, I would think, basically like non-existent change. But the bigger thing is this Bioarcane Barrage's W, when you activate it, it was 7%. I mean, at max rank, it was 7% of his on-hit max health damage. Now it's 6%, which he's having that up almost permanently in late game team fights. So if you're losing 1% of their max health, let's say you're hitting someone with 2,000 max health, which is basically any champion in the game, late game, then you're losing 20 damage on hit. I mean, before resistances that someone's losing. So I think that this is actually a big deal, especially when you incorporate Rageblade in. That's 40 damage going away, and we're not even talking about higher health champions that Kog'Maw and other hypers are built to shred, such as Cho'Gath and Nunu. I mean, pick your bruiser there. It doesn't really matter what champions I throw out there. All of them are building lots of health because bruisers are stronger right now. So I feel like this is a big change here. I think it puts Kog'Maw back into a place where he was before, where it's kind of risky to play him now, and you're really going to need to know what you're doing and have a strong laning partner to be able to get through lane, or you're going to get dumpstered, is my thought. And then I think all of this hurts AP Kog'Maw as well. And I wish they would have buffed AP Kog'Maw in compensation for losing some of this. That's kind of my thoughts on this. Sean, why don't you go? You've played Kog'Maw a few times in Community Night so far through the durability patch.
I got called cringe for playing Kog'Maw Community Game Night. It was like stupid broken on 12-10. I think it's like worth mentioning, like basically if your champion has percent health damage built into the kit, they just basically got better. The more health people got, the stronger the champions got. And Kog'Maw is one of those that they didn't touch it before the patch, and then all of a sudden it has like a 53% win rate. It was going, the build is actually kind of weird. It was like Ginsu's and the Runeans and the Titanic. And like, I'm pretty sure the way it works is that on each like proc of the Runeans, like the 3 procs, the Titanic passive would go off too. So it was like just incredibly stupid. And Kog'Maw was kind of like Zeri was before, where like he was like super tanky, and then he's like doing like a fourth of everybody's health with each auto. And it was just gross to play against. It was kind of funny because Kog'Maw is like a weird champion that not a ton of people play. So like it just got discovered like right before 12-11. Like I started noticing Kog'Maws like right at the end of 12-10, and then it got nerfed again. And now like looking at the stats, it's like one of the worst 80 carries after this patch. So I guess you're right, it is pretty big. But I mean that's what happened, is he was just super overtuned and now they super nerfed him, which it seems a little ridiculous to me that Kog'Maw can't be good for longer than a patch, but
I don't actually think that this is like, I don't think he's trash like you're saying. He's just not overpowered. I think he's probably pretty close to balanced based on these numbers thoughts. And again, I haven't played on this patch yet, so I don't know how this actually affects him, how he feels, but I would think that this actually is not that big of a hit to make him be dumpstered at all. I would think he'd be hovering around a 50% win rate or so, which is a big nerf. If you're saying he was at 53%, that's a 3 percentage point hit. That's a huge nerf, but he's still going to be playable for sure. It just may be a bit more situational now, and maybe the build will change. Not super sure.
it's at a 47% win rate right now on a small sample size on 2,700, but
That's 6
I mean the patch came
percentage
out today.
points. Good God.
Yeah. So like yeah, like it doesn't seem like a huge nerf, but all of a sudden he's just one of the worst AD carries. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's crazy to me.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on. And we'll talk about something other than Kog'Maw now. Kaib, you wanted to talk about Lee Sin, so why don't you explain why you thought this was a buff worth covering?
He's gonna be good. That's why. Simple enough. Let's move on.
Cool.
Now the sonic wave damage, his Q is getting a buff. So it was 50 scaling to 150 plus 100% bonus AD. Now it's 55 scaling to 155, so just 5 extra AD at every rank. And then the resonating strike, the minimum damage is going up 5 at all ranks, and the maximum damage is going up 10 at all ranks. So maybe makes him a little bit more viable. He's been kind of struggling in this patch, the past 2. So I mean, we'll see. I suck at Lee Sin, so it's not like I'm gonna go test it. Because anything that I would report back with, you can't really count on, because I literally suck ass with this champion.
Sure. Yeah, I don't play him either. I have a couple of friends that do, but I just don't enjoy him. It's too feast or famine for me. There's also there's so much micro going on with Lee Sin. I just don't find him to be that fun. Then again, I play Kiana, who has a lot of micro as well. But yeah, I agree with you. The base AD is a big deal for him. Um, because he's autoing so much for his energy regen, and that's how he clears the jungle. Most of his clear is based on his autos.
Well,
But
even comparing Kiana and Lee Sin micro is Lee Sin is still light years more
yeah,
than Kiana. Like it's kind of just unnecessary in my opinion. Like
yeah,
how much you have to do to play him optimally, which is why I just play Zinzao and Flash R. It's the same thing. I'm just
I
gonna push someone into my team.
see. I just play Poppy, and Lee Sin tries to do something, and I just do this on. I
You just say
literally just
no.
I hold a finger up, and then I press the W key, and then Lee Sin doesn't do anything.
He's out of the game. Simple.
Exactly.
You just break his computer.
And then if for some reason, and then once he gets his cooldown back before my W comes up, then I click on him and I press my E key and dash him away, and then my
Fair.
W is back up again. Yeah, Poppy's fun, but I don't know. Sean, you gonna be playing any Lee Sin top or Lee Sin mid or Lee Sin 80 carry?
No, I mean that was a thing last year, but they like nerfed
Yeah,
the shit out
channel
of
your inner FBI and play him ADC.
it. Yeah, yeah. I don't, there was a point when I was playing League that I was a Lee Sin main for like 2 or 3 months,
How did it
and
go?
That's longer
I mean,
than
I
anything
actually,
else you've been a main of.
yeah, no, like back in the day, I used to like play champions for like a month or two at a time. No, it's like a day or two, but yeah, I don't know. I got pretty good at Lee. I don't think he's as hard as people say he is, especially compared to some champions nowadays. And like, I honestly like I tried playing him like it's like a month ago, and I went to practice school and like was like practicing like insects and like the ward hop combos, and like it honestly didn't feel that hard anymore. It feels like the insect itself is like super um the word I'm looking for here. Like super
Easy.
forgiving.
Oh,
No, it's just like you have like a long period of time to flash. Actually, like you press R and then you flash, and you actually it's actually kind of hard to fuck it up. Honestly, like once if you just go into practice to and practice it a little bit, it's pretty easy.
I can agree with that. I can agree with his R flashes. Those are pretty easy.
I'd
That's like
say
the easiest part of his kit.
yeah, that's easier to hit than I'd say a Jarvan or EQ flash or doing a Vi flash to knock them back towards your team. That's pretty fucking cool when you can hit one of those, but with the Q. But yeah, or have you ever tried Tristana insecting them? That's a thing. It's not as easy to do, and it's actually pretty shit because then you fly in and then you're like, "Ha! I knocked someone back," and you get instantly popped because you're Tristana. But it's a thing. So, anyways, another L champion. My girl Lilia is getting nerfed because people are abusing her in the top lane again. So Riot needs to get rid of it. I'm fine with it. Get rid of top lane Lilia players and just let me play her in the jungle. She's losing a little bit of base health. Okay, that doesn't do anything in my opinion. But her passive damage is taking a hit to her AP ratio. I still don't think this is that big of a deal though, because Lilia isn't getting 800, 700 AP. She's getting 400, 450 late game or so if you're building her more AP. But if you go tank Lilia, this really doesn't do much at all because you're not it's based like you're not losing much. They're not nerfing her flat damage. It's the AP ratio percentages. So if you're someone building a Zonya's, or not a Zonya's, a Death Cap, this is going to hurt more than if you're building a force of nature in there. You're throwing in Morello, you're throwing in Zanya, you're getting, I don't know. I've contemplated getting Death Dance before on her. It's not great, but I've contemplated it. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that it's crazy by any means, but I don't know why initially when they released this, they said it was a nerf to Lilia top. This is just a nerf to Lilia in general.
Yeah.
Like changing her AP ratio does not only nerf her top, like it fucks her in jungle too.
The
So
base
I don't.
health loss is a nerf much more for top lane than
I would
jungle.
agree with that, but like the passive, like that
Yeah.
doesn't like change anything between jungle and top nerf.
Right.
I
Exactly.
don't know. I still think she's really viable. I've been playing a lot of her lately.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun. Yep. Okay, next one we wanted to cover. Nunu, my boy Nunu. I wanted to cover him, despite objections from my fellow co-hosts here. I'm just lying. Neither of them really had objections, but
I had objections.
okay, you had objections, but still,
I had questions.
yes, you did have questions. It wasn't objections. Yes. So E now has a cooldown that scales down with rank. This is either your second or third max, depending on what you're feeling like doing that game. But either way, lowered cooldown is great. It's just a better ability all around because you're not losing anything. The Q is getting buffed, so it's the amount of healing is going up both against champions and non-champions. Against non-champions, you're healing 90% of your AP, plus the flat is staying the same. And this is your first max on Nunu, basically every time. Although I don't know about mid Nunu. Jungle Nunu, this is basically your first max because you need this for heal, and it does so much true damage as well to monsters. Does more than a smite. So yeah, but the healing against champions went up by 12 percentage points. So still, 54% of your AP. Let's say if you're building AP Nunu, you're going lots of AP. So mid game, you're having 300 AP or so. You're getting 150 extra, a little bit more than 150 extra health on your heal against a champion, plus or just from the AP ratio, and like 20 or 25 roughly is going to be from this buff specifically, and then that goes on top of the already flat and the bonus health that you have. They are reducing, or no, they're not reducing anything, sorry, they're also buffing the bonus health as well, so this also helps tank Nunu. So if you're going an AP off tank sort of Nunu, if you're building Demonic Embrace or Cosmic Drive or other AP items that have health in them, you're dipping into both of the increased ratios for healing against non-champions and champions. Overall, very happy with this. Nunu needed some buffs. I think even before the durability update, he was not feeling great, but just based on who was prevalent in the jungle, and now I think he's a little bit better. I still wouldn't say that I think he's amazing right now, but you know, I like it a lot. And you should also, whenever people look up Nunu stats, keep in mind that his win rate is artificially higher than what's being shown because of the disco Nunus that pull down his win rate. So it's always going to be higher than what you see on the stats sites. Anyways, end of my Nunu monologue. Fellas, what do you think? Sean, I'll let you go first.
I mean, I don't have too much opinion of it, but I think like 2 seasons ago, I was like actually like Nunu was like one of my main champions. I think it was 2 or 3. I was basically a jungle main. I was pretty much only playing Nunu, and then eventually, it was like one of like the highest win rate junglers, and eventually I just felt so disgusted with playing the champion, I just dropped it. Like, but
Yeah,
I don't
that's
have
why
too
I
much.
don't play it. I think champions like Nunu and Shaco are just fucking gimmicky and have no place.
Oof, I disagree.
I know Eric disagrees with that, but
That's what makes people have to learn to look at their map and pay attention. Also, the level 1 invade is unparalleled because you start the snowball right before the home guard ends, and your team can start running through, and you can fly through with a snowball at 700 move speed right in the enemy's faces. It's a lot of fun. That being said, if no one's there, then you skilled your worst jungle clear ability first, so you need a decent leash. But yeah, okay. Nunu is over. Next one we wanted to cover all the way down to the S's. Let's see. Senna. We wanted to cover Senna. So, Sean, why don't you take over Senna's for us?
Sure, so the passive Mist Wraith drop rate for Senna's minion kills has been increased. The Q slow strength was decreased. The slow duration decreased early and now scales with rank. So I'd say on 12-10, there were probably like 4 or 5 champions that were just completely disgusting and probably needed to be permabanned, and Senna was definitely in there. She was at like 53. It was probably like, I'd say like Senna, Kale, Kog'maw,
Lilia was up there.
Lilia. Yeah, Lilia was definitely in there. Olaf's in there, but like nobody's playing it really. And that's probably the whole list, but Senna's disgusting. She still is really. It's still my permaban. And no matter what lane, I don't care if I'm bot or not. The champion was just way too overtuned. She's supposed to be this like hyper scaling kind of like secondary 80 carry, and she just ended up like having a really good early game. And they gave her like a slow on her Q because the rune got messed up or the rune got changed, and she was like the only person taking, I think it was Glacial, right?
Yeah, it was Glacial.
So like they just gave her an extra part to her Q, and like the champion's just gross right now, man. I'm still banning it every game, even after this nerf.
Gotcha. Yeah, one thing I really don't like about how Riot's chosen to balance Senna is so they keep every, I don't know, few months increasing and decreasing the percentages of the Wraith drops to make her, it's better to be farming Senna. And then 3 months later, it's better to be fasting Senna. And it just swaps back and forth because of the percentages, because it just makes sense to play Senna either farming or fasting a specific, like it makes sense to play her one of the two ways just based on the mathematics of the mist wraith drops. And I feel like now it's going to be better to play her as farming Senna again. So now I just don't like how, or just in general, I don't like how they choose to balance this. They should make it, in my opinion, it should be where both of them are viable, and one, support should be slightly stronger, in my opinion, because she was designed as a support. So keep her as a support, but ADC should be viable and decent, like 50% win rate, or whether it's a little bit below that because of skill floor, skill ceiling stuff for her. But I don't know. I think that the increase rate from 2.166 to 8.3 is so huge that there's no way you don't go farming Senna. There's no way, because you're getting, I think that's the same drop rate as fasting Senna, and you get the additional gold from farming the minions. I don't know. Kai, what do you think, man?
I only play her in ARAM, honestly.
Do you guys get what I'm saying though, with how they keep
Yeah, I
choosing
mean,
to balance
you
it?
should go farming Senna with that. Honestly, the gold just makes more sense to do it that way now.
Yeah.
So,
So
I mean, I think that's a bit of a, overtune on that, but whatever. If Chaz was here, he could probably speak to that better.
solo lane Senna, anyone?
Jungle Senna.
No. No. I'm gonna kick that one down. No.
Okay.
Nope. With that, before we talk about Jungle Senna more, I'm gonna move on to the next one. Swain. Swain's getting a bunch of changes here. They're reducing his passive healing. They are reducing the AP damage on the W, the giant eye that drops. Both the base and the AP ratio are going down, and the healing per tick on his ultimate is also going down, both by flat and by AP ratio. These seem like there's a lot of changes at once. I think it's appropriate though, because Swain felt very good. I would say he felt decent in support when I'm playing against him or with him. He felt really good to play with or against in. He felt strong in mid lane. I also thought situationally he felt strong in top lane. He was, and also as farming mage, not that you really see that in bot lane as a faux ADC, but I think that he was pretty good at everything, so needs to get tuned down a bit. I think that this is fine. I don't know how hard this is going to have hit him, but I think it's an appropriate change. These all seem reasonable to me, is what I'm really getting at here. Yeah, Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's reasonable. I think he was one of the highest win rate mid and top laners, I think, last patch. Which I'm glad he's back in a solo lane. It always felt really weird to me that I think over time, after they like reworked Swain, he just kind of got dropped in support role because like his kit just got nerfed to the point that like that's all he could really play. And like in support, it feels like like an idiot check champion where like if you don't play around the range of his E, you can just like get one shot by it. But like if you play around the range of the E, it's like almost a useless support. So like I'm glad they like buffed him now that he can actually be a soul laner because I think thematically a lot of people like Swain. He's supposed to be like the leader of Noxus, right?
Yeah.
So like it's cool that they're like actually making him playable in solo lanes now. So I like the nerfs because he was really good. So
Yeah.
The only thing that I don't like about this is I don't like when Riot will hit the damage per level as well as the ratio. I'd rather see that come in a second. I'd rather see that come next patch if it's still needed. Because they're not gonna buff it back up. They very rarely will do that.
Or proposed hot fix that would maybe go through in a few days.
Yeah, like
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe this needs to happen, right? But I mean, I could also see a world where they've hit it too hard, and for a few days, it's just going to be miserable playing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying for sure. I don't like when they do that as well. But we'll see how heavily this affects Swain. Swain players, let us know.
Swain jungle? Question mark?
Question mark received. I might try it. But yeah, so Swain players, write in to questions at Trinity Force Podcast to let us know about, let us know what your thoughts on these changes are. So yeah, Silas is the next one that we wanted to cover. Oh boy, Silas is back, maybe. He has a couple of changes. His W is getting cheaper at all ranks by 10 flat mana. The cooldown is going down on his W early with like early levels, but it scales down to be the same at 6 seconds before all of his insane amounts of ability haste that he picks up through his item builds. And then the AP ratio on his healing is going up by just 5%. I don't think it's that big of a deal. His E cooldown is also being lowered by 1 at all ranks, so that's fun. Not enjoying this. I liked a meta where Silas wasn't around. I enjoyed it. I don't think that that will stay for that long though, just because people like playing Silas. The community finds him to be fun. He's also a really sweet lore champ. Like he's so important to the lore and moving forward. The stories of Demacia and several other popular characters, Lux, Garen, Jarvan, Shyvana, etc., etc. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to playing with or playing against Silas mid lane players or Silas top lane players. Kai, what do you think, man?
I've never been able to make Silas work, honestly. Like I'll watch people play a mid and just stay alive forever, and for whatever reason, even if I play a game and I get ahead on him, I still feel like I just get blown up so fast in the fights. So I don't understand the champion, clearly. Maybe I'm just using my W completely wrong. So seeing it 5% AP increased, for me, great. For good Silas players, even better. But bad for me when I'm playing against it.
I like that. For good Silas players, even better. Sean, are you a good Silas player?
no, I'm a really spotty Silas player. It's really high highs and really low lows, which is not a good player in League. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I mean, I'd like to see Silas better. He was literally like bottom 3 mid laners last match, I'm pretty sure. And like, I know he feels really bad to play against when he presses W and heals like a third of his health. But like, the champion's really cool. Like thematically, I think the kit's like kind of hard to use. It's not terrible, but it does feel like a kind of like a good balance between like a melee champion that also kind of feels like a mage, especially with his ult. I guess my problem with Silas is that like I really only want to pick Silas if they're good ults on the enemy team. I'm not big enough of a man to pick Silas if they're trash ults on the other team. So I really
You're not Chad enough.
Yeah, I'm not a big enough Chad to pick Silas if there's like Udyr and Jace and like Elise on the other team.
What? You don't want to use the Phoenix stance auto?
Yeah, shit's That shit is so goofy. Like the stance change ults, you get to be the champion for like a couple seconds or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. I had a little spot where I did try playing Silas for a while, and like that's what I found with Silas, but like also like other Assassin champs is you'll have games where you go like 20 and like 3, and then you'll have games where you're like 0 and 10 and do nothing for your team, and I hate that feeling. I'd much rather play a champion that I can stay kind of neutral on, or just play like good like every game.
It got to the point for me where I was just building tank Silas and go like Everfrost, Vimble Winter, Spirit Visage, that kind of stuff, and just stay alive forever. Just take up space.
Is Jungle Silas back with cooldown increases or cooldown decreases as well as the durability patch? Jungle Silas?
I would love to see Jungle Silas back, but I'm still bad at him, but at least I'd have a reason to practice it.
Yeah, I kind of want to try it. Maybe I'll play a couple of games before the next time we record on it. That sounds fun. But yeah. Okay, then the next one we have is Tom Kench. So, Kaib, you wanted to cover Tom Kench. Why don't you cover Tom Kench for us, buddy?
I'll cover Tom Kench for us then.
Bucko.
So his passive magic damage is being increased, the Q heal's being increased, and his R shield strength is being increased. So the bonus magic damage on hit was 8 to 60 plus 2.5% bonus health. Same thing with the new one, except it's 4% bonus health. So, just gonna do more fucking magic damage. Great. A tank that does a lot of damage. Never seen that before, Ornn. And then his Q, the Tongue Lash, his healing has been increased. What was it?
It's
10 scaling to 20.
Yeah.
Plus 3 scaling to 5% missing health. Now it's 10 scaling to 30 with 3 scaling to 5% missing health. So you're doing what? You're getting 10 extra healing at max rank.
Yeah, it's basically nothing.
And then the shield strength for Devour is going up 150, 100, and then 50 between its rank. So it was 500 scaling to 900. Now it's 650 scaling to 950. So that could be pretty huge. But I don't play a lot of TK, so I don't know.
So I have some thoughts, but Sean, I want to hear what you think first on these.
Does it include lethal tempo Tom Kench?
Nope, it does not.
Okay, good. Please share your opinions then.
I want to wait and give my buddy Sean a chance to weigh in on the conversation.
I don't really get it. I don't know. I feel like Tom Kench is fine. Like they obviously kind of nerfed him in like solo lane, but it's like his win rate never actually really dropped that much. Like it was still fine in solo lane, even though they like changed like the gray health so that it only like works to max effectiveness if you're in a lane with another person. So like I don't really see why they're buffing him. It doesn't seem like huge buffs, but I mean it's a good size buff for a champion that's kind of notorious for being really annoying to play against.
Yeah. So here are my thoughts on the Tom Kench thing. The Q does literally nothing. 10 extra healing does nothing. There's nothing there on the Q. The R is not even a buff. It is a buff technically by numbers, but it does nothing. When was the last time you saw someone get Tom Kench ulted, and then they pop out, and the enemy team actually burns through that shield before it drops? The answer is never. They never burn through that shield. It's a. When was the last time you saw Kai'Sa's shield get burnt through? Like it just doesn't happen. These giant shields, they just drop off before they get eaten through. So there might be a very niche situation where you need a 950 shield, but Christ, something's gone wrong if you need a 950 shield. After being Tom Kench ulted out of the danger, you need to work on positioning rather than getting a bigger Tom Kench ult. That's insane. The passive damage, I think that's a buff, and that actually does something, though, because you're getting an extra 1.5%, 1.5 percentage points bonus health on hits, and that also applies to his Q. So, I don't know. I think that's a big deal, because that will, in these really long trades, in wet noodle fights in top lane, or just if you're fighting Tom Kench, that's a big deal. That adds up over time. The other stuff, literally nothing. That's my thoughts on it. Cool. I take your silence to mean that you agree with me unequivocally. Alrighty.
Did you watch the LS? There was some LS video where he was like talking about like all the shields that never really. He kept saying gets chewed through. I remember the statement. He's like saying like all the like Kai'Sa's shield never gets chewed through all the way.
I
I don't.
remember.
I just watched it on YouTube like a couple days ago.
Yeah, I watched the stream where he was talking about that a couple weeks ago, I think it was, and I was like, yeah, that totally makes sense, and I'd never thought about it that much, but yeah, that's why I'm bringing up that point. So yes, credit to LS for really educating me about that, and then educating Sean as well. Good job. But yeah, it's just no one gets through a Tom Kench shield. It doesn't happen. You don't get through a Kai'Sa shield. You don't get through, a giant late game Lulu shield. You don't get through the Karma ult shield. It just doesn't happen. Those shields drop off before they.
You definitely don't get through a Steric shield now.
No.
Jesus Christ. Especially if you've got a Spirit Visage.
Exactly. You're not getting through these shields. So you just wait for them. I mean, you damage people, but once they drop off, that's the bigger thing there. So, yep. And Tom Kent's shield stays on for, I think it's like 3 or 4 seconds or so. It's not crazy long. But yeah, so anyways, enough of my soapbox about him. Talia, Kaib, you play junglers. Why don't you talk about Talia?
Well, she's not exactly a sucks jungle. She's only a mid laner now. Her base health is going down, which directly impacts her mid lane. The Q cooldown is being increased by half a second at all ranks. The 1 rock damage is being increased early and decreased late. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, it's going up by 2 flat at rank 1. Oh, big deal. 2 damage.
Yeah. And then the 5 rock damage is going down late or up early, down late. Boulder damage, same thing. I don't understand that. So they're making her better early, but weaker late.
Support Talia, support Talia, support Talia.
I guess. I mean, I think it just makes it easier to snowball on her. Like, because I mean, if you get 4 kills early, it's not really going to matter that your AP went down because you're just going to have a book with 25 pages, and it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
The Unraveled Earth. It now does 150% damage to monsters, so they're really trying to push her back to jungle. And then you no longer get that 3 seconds of casting R. So I don't really play a lot of her, so I don't know what that does.
I thought that was already a thing. Oh, maybe it was when she couldn't do it when she was in combat, but they might have, or maybe they might have done it when she took damage. But if she was dealing damage without taking damage, she could still use the R, which was not the intended. It wasn't intended by them, or they just didn't necessarily think about that. Or maybe they're adding this. But now, if you take damage or deal damage via non-proc damage, so not a Leandry's burn or a demonic burn or a brand passive or something, or I guess it's dealing damage that there. So then you can you can't use the R anymore.
Honestly, this might be really, really good for jungle Talia because of the change to the damage early for her Q, and then the increase in monster damage with the E. Because I mean, someone dashing on the E now, they're stunned. So I mean, that's perfect for ganks. That's an easy W knockback. So I don't know. I probably won't play her because I still suck with her, but maybe some other loser will.
Yep. I saw her banned in most all of the games I was playing. So obviously there were, to use your words, losers playing Talia.
Well, she was really, really good mid. Like really good. So I don't know. Like she was a direct Yasuo, just get fucked.
Sure.
Like, so I don't know. If you guys have thoughts, share them. But I'm not gonna play her.
I don't have a ton of extra thoughts. I think basically what you talked about and her moving around is, that's kind of the takeaways here. Although I would say support Talia. I think it's probably her best role. but that's just me. And if anyone wants to watch someone play support Talia, go check out Mid Beast because he plays a lot of support Talia. But yeah. Okay, here's one that I thought we should have is Taric. This feels huge. So, okay, the lesser change is his E, the stun. It's going down by 2 seconds at all ranks. So it's, now it'll scale down to 11. This is his second or first max, depending on where you're playing him. I think that this is his second max in the support role, but this is his first max in the jungle, because I play Taric jungle sometimes, and some people do. I don't know about solo lane Taric or anything like that, but I would assume you max E first if you're playing him in a solo lane. But and then the stun duration up by 0.25 seconds with tenacity and whatever people are getting. Okay, whatever. That doesn't really do that much. The bigger change, this is huge, I think. The Q now is capped at 60 mana at all ranks instead of going from 65 to 85. So it's actually down from level 1, and it's cheaper always. It no longer increases. And Taric is an extremely mana-hungry champion because he's getting another Q charge every time he autos. Every time he does his empowered auto, he gets another Q charge. So you go Q, whack, whack, Q, whack, whack, Q, and then you basically use up your mana really fast. So this will help because they're not changing his mana regen nor his base mana. But also the heal is going up not by flat or by AP, but just by a small percentage of Taric's maximum health. So you'll get a slightly larger heal. I don't think it'll be large enough to really feel on one heal. However, over time, this will make a difference, especially because he's able to get more of them off because he has so much more mana. I think this is a huge deal. I'm excited to play this a bit more. It'll make jungle clear a little faster, too. It'll make it better when you don't have blue buff. Those are my thoughts there. Sean, are you agreeing with my thoughts on Taric buffs at all, or?
I was lucky enough to get blessed with a Taric top today that just sucked ass and felt like it did nothing. So I have a pretty bad impression of it right away. But I guess maybe it wasn't as good as your Taric jungle.
It was
Eric.
not. There's no way it was. Yeah, my Taric jungle is legendary in my apartment.
Because my experience with it was he got ran over by Darius. It went like 0-3 in lane,
Oh,
and
yeah.
did literally nothing in team. He did like 10k damage for like a 30-minute game, and it was just awful to play with. So
yeah, that
hopefully
sounds a
it doesn't
fucking
happen.
terrible matchup. Holy Christ, facing Darius would be so bad.
Yeah. Which I think when you bring something top lane, you have to think about like what other champions you're going against. And top lane is notorious for having a lot of champions that punish you very hard, and Darius is like top of the list. Like
Yeah.
Irelia, Camille are also up there. So like, yeah, like I can imagine like Taric versus Camille, he's just getting stomped. I guess the problem is he doesn't have anything really to like help him in a long lane. Like you have their stun to like maybe save you for getting like all in, but like you have to think like champions like Darius, they wanna push the wave into you and then try to all in you on when the wave's coming back. And like if you're all inning a Taric when he's like under your he's gonna stun you, but you're still gonna catch up as Darius with like Ghost or Camille E or something, and you're just gonna kill him like the second you get on top of him. So
I think Camille would be a pretty good matchup for him actually, because as soon when she's flying in, you cast the E and then it goes off while you're stunned, because it's not a channel; it's just an insta ability. So just like a Talia Q. So then it would go off as she's flying at you. She lands and hits you. You're both stunned, but she's stunned for longer, and you can return some damage and then chase her down.
no, you could, but she could also just R over the E too, right?
Fair.
Or,
Absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, the point I'm making is just seems bad to me. Maybe jungle's better because you don't have a direct matchup, and you can kind of like maybe against like stronger junglers, you could path the opposite way and not have to fight them and stuff like that. But like top lane Taric does not seem viable to me at all.
In jungle Taric, I will take a fight against most anyone because the passive autos do additional damage. Plus, you're able to get heals, and you're constantly doing additional damage with those passive autos. And the E comes up really fast too. And I take Ghost. So, and once you have your smite upgraded, you have red smite. Like you're just you're whacking people with that giant Targonian hammer, and it feels pretty good. So I kind of want to play more jungle Taric now after seeing this. There's a lot of cool jungle buffs. I like this patch. So okay, Kaib, you ever play jungle Taric?
No, I've never played the champion, honestly.
Oh, well, you got to work on that, my friend. It's fun. And I'm sure your competitive team would enjoy a support and jungle flex.
We got a sub to my buddy Hudson sub, and he asked what we think of Maokai top.
AP or tank? Because those are very different questions. I guess would also
Tank
be
is
Tank. He tried
Tank is
out
goated.
I don't.
Dude,
I don't think so. I
thought
really
it was
don't.
bad, but I've seen so many games where he like can like tank like 3 or 4 people and just like
Yeah, it's
sit
really
there.
just stupid, honestly.
Yeah, like the healing, it's crazy. If like you get a head on Maokai top, like the healing from your passive is just like insane. That's like the biggest like OP part about it. You can kind of just sit there and like you're basically just dealing damage with your Cinder or your Bammies or whatever. I'm forgetting what the name is. But like
Sunfire
it's
Cape, you're
basically
probably taking
yeah,
on him.
yeah, it's basically just the Sunfire that's doing the damage, and Maokai is just staying alive while Sunfire kills everybody. But yeah, it gets pretty ridiculous. Hudson's one of those guys that'll only really play like one champion. And like when he first started playing Maokai, it wasn't that great. Or he was kind of inting quite a bit on it, and now he's actually pretty good at it, and it's actually a little ridiculous.
I don't think
Quite a bit
it's
better than I thought.
So I will say, thank you for the sub, Hudson. But I don't think it's. I definitely don't think AP top unless you're in a very specific niche situation. Maybe top Maokai has the safety of vision through the saplings where you cannot get ganked as easily, and you can place your wards deeper or things like that. But I feel like it's, again, not a top laner here, but I feel like it's a pretty easy gank for me to go gank him when I'm playing most people, and he's pretty bad early in lane. Relative to he definitely scales up to be a lot more tanky and healing a lot more, but early on he doesn't. He's very low range, and he doesn't have. If he uses his W to stop you or his Q or something, then you can use your skills to chase him down and fight him. And I think that he would, against most of the top laners, he would lose battles. He would lose battles, I would think, to Irelia, to Darius, to a Riven, to top Tryndamere, to Jace, to, I mean, I could keep going, Gwen, like all of these champions that are going to be down to brawl, he would lose against. I think he would beat a Malphite, but Malphite's kind of meant to lose lane and win game. That's Malphite's kind of ethos. He would get smashed by Ornn. I don't know. I don't think top Maokai is. I don't love it personally, though. If you can make it work, more power to you, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, it has a ton of bad matchups, which is why it's like not meta. But Hudson's also been getting good enough at it to a point where he has been able to like beat shitty matchups. So like, it does really well under range top laners. Is what I've seen.
Yeah.
Is like, especially like Teemo. Like I've seen so many games where he like snowballs on a Teemo and he's just like unkillable the rest of the game. It's really disgusting.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Last two champions we wanted to cover. Kaib wanted to talk about Wukong. So, Kaib, why don't you tell us why you wanted to talk about Wukong?
The W cooldowns being increased early. So basically, if you go for your first gank and use your W and it fails, the chance of you getting out is much slimmer. Like if the enemy jungler shows up, it's much less likely that you can get back over your blue wall top lane.
2 seconds is so like I'm not trying to
Well, I mean, Wukong's a champion that wants the fight extended, right? So if you use your W coming out of and you come through the lane brush, you're gonna W into the enemy top laner, right? So that can go 20 seconds from basically under your tower to their tower, and then down to your blue wall. Because if it goes bad, I just want to go and try and W over that wall, and if they're gonna kill me, they have to burn a flash to do it, right?
Right.
So it doesn't always happen, but I mean, 2 seconds can make a difference. I mean, it's the same late, but I think the big one is the damage to monsters that's gone down. Granted, he's not a farming jungler. He wants to get out on the map and gank more, but I mean,
He still needs to clear camps.
Yeah, his timer for those 3 camp clears is going to be lower now that his the damage is less. I don't know if you'll start E anymore, honestly, because that was what you started to run your clear level 1. Maybe it goes to Q, but
I
don't
doubt
know.
it just because of the attack speed that it gives you for like 3 or 4 seconds. Like that's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't played it today. Since the patch has been out. I could see it not really doing a lot, except for certain situations, like
Sure.
like specifically coming through a lane gank and trying to escape if it goes poorly.
Sure.
But I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
So what I hear you
I think
saying,
the death stance change affects him more.
Sure. What I hear you saying is he has bigger windows of punishment as well as a slower clear. So people who are not using his abilities smart are not using the W as smartly as they need to be.
I don't think it changes anything for good Wukong players. It changes it for the players that recognize that he's strong in the meta and just go pick him up and can get away with some bullshit.
Sure. Gotcha. Okay. Sean, any other thoughts on Wukong before we move on to Zinzao, our last champion?
Oh, no, not really. I guess like the one thing is like Riot. I feel like Riot will try to like sneak in like little quality of life changes that like like in general to just make the champion feel better, and it kind of felt like that's what they were doing with like the W. Like you almost got like snuck in where he can go over walls, and then it just ends up being this huge change that like makes him like one of the best junglers in the game. And like I remember we did the patch notes when they'd made that change. I didn't think it was that big, and then all of a sudden he's like the best jungler in the game. It was a little ridiculous.
Oh, dude, he's insane. He's absolutely insane.
See, I still think that top Wukong is better than jungle Wukong.
I would disagree with that. Like if you're a top Wukong, you kind of have to get the attention, right? Like your jungler has to come up there and get you ahead, or you're not as useful. Jungle, you can just throw the Wukong in there, and all he has to do is get onto the backline with an R.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like it's
so like if you're gonna take the chances of a Wukong not being as strong, you want it in jungle because it's probably gonna come from there anyways. You're engaged onto the backline.
Sure, makes sense. Yeah.
Now, if the Wukong is gonna pop off, it's better to have him in top probably because he's gonna get more farm and more gold. But typically.
Matchup dependent as well. Throw him in mid lane. It works depending on your matchup as well.
Just go AP. It's fine.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say he has like a couple matchups against like really meta top laners that he's like a really strong counter like Darius and Aatrox because he can just kind of W out of their shit, or like for Darius you can extend the time it takes him to get 5 stacks like a ton with your W, and you can kind of just take short trades with him. But I honestly think he's just a better jungle now at this point. Like he basically has like a Shaco gank on like a tanky champion that's actually really good at team fighting.
Yeah, dude, his level 3 gank, you just 3 camp for if you're on the blue side of the map, you start your red and go red blue gromp, and you can W behind Rift Herald wall now. Like, yeah, you're running the risk of not having your W to escape then, but you don't even have to worry if they've got a ward. Or it makes the enemy top laner think more about where he has to ward. He can't just ward the river brush.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Yep, but I haven't been seeing him much. I don't think you guys have either, just because he's been getting banned. He was one of the strongest champions of the patch by statistics, and people really didn't enjoy playing against him, and he was getting lots of bans. So
he's been pick ban in almost every single one of my competitive games that I've played in Draft League.
Gotcha. Yeah, he definitely.
It's very rare that he's not pick banned.
Gotcha. Yeah, he's definitely someone that is because of the flexibility he offers between being. I mean, you could play bot lane with. You can literally play him in 4 roles, and it works. Depending on matchups, you can.
Yeah, we played Senna Wukong one
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, you absolutely can. There, you can put him in mid lane depending on the matchup. You can throw him in top, and you can play him in jungle. In the top and jungle, it's pretty safe to play him most of the time. So yeah, he offers a lot of flexibility, and this seems appropriate. He definitely feels like he's someone who fares better in a coordinated environment as well, just because of the double knockups that you're offering, the invisibility, the everything that he brings to the table. So, yep. Okay, last champion we wanted to cover is Zinzao. So he's getting 2 changes. Well, 2 things are getting changes, 3 changes overall, I guess. But the AD ratio on his healing is going up from 7% to 10% of your AD. That's not bonus or base, it is overall AD. And the W damage, the thrust, not the slash that comes first, is the slash is unchanged. The W thrust is going up by 10% AD and 10 flat damage at all ranks, while the mana cost is going down. It's same rank 1, but this is his first max, and then it's going down to 40 damage at rank 5. So level 9, it's 20 mana cheaper, which doesn't really affect jungle with Zinzao at all, but it is a big deal for if you play him in top or mid lane or so. I also kind of think that Zinzao Senna could be pretty sweet, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't think that this was that big of a deal, but Kaib, you wanted to highlight the healing and the W because you have a crit Zinzao theory, or were you joking about that prior to the podcast? So putting your feet to the fire, my friend.
No, it's if you've never played Shield Bow Essence Reaver Zinzao, it's actually pretty gross. Like it's kind of like the way I was playing Viego for a while, where the runes wouldn't really change, but depending on how the early game went, I was either going to go the Gore Drinker build, but if I was able to get a kill or 2 early, I was just going to rush an Essence Reaver and snowball into a Shield Bow, and it's just disgusting. But so that's from his W that made me think that, because of the increase in the AD, right?
Mm-hmm.
But something that I played today that actually felt really good was rushing an Essence Reaver, regardless of how the early game went, because a Sheen item feels really good on him, but Gore Drinker is also like a must. So going Sunder or Triforce just feels bad without being able to do the Thirsting Slash for the healing. So like Essence Reaver, Gore Drinker, Death Dance Sterix felt really good on him. But I think I really think, and we'll talk more about it with the Sterix buff. I have a feeling that Bruiser junglers are going to come back. The Sterix buff, as little as the numbers seem, it felt very, very close, if not better, than what Sterix was before they adjusted it.
Okay. Well, I mean, without further ado, then let's go on to the items that you're talking about. So, Grievous Wounds is nerfed by 5% in the mini form, the Oblivion Orb, or the Bramble Vest, or the Executioner's Calling. And while the gold numbers are not changing at all for any item, it looks like, it also notes that these Grievous changes apply to all Grievous Wounds item below, as well as Grievous Wounds applied by abilities from Katarina, Kled, Singe, Varus, and Ignite, which is important to notice. But the empowered Grievous Wounds is down from 50 to 40%. Prior to the durability patch, it was 60%. So it's down by 20 percentage points relative to 2 patches before. That's a huge deal. There are some additional changes to some of the Grievous Wounds items, such as Executioner's Calling getting some AD to make up for it, Oblivion Orb getting 5 AP. So they're giving them compensation buffs so as not to change the gold values. If you want, you can read more into those. We're not going to cover each specific one because they don't feel like they're that big of a deal, in my opinion. But there are also some AP mythics are getting buffs. These feel a little bit more important in my opinion. Guys, just stop me at any point if you want. I'm just going to keep going. Crown of the Shattered Queen got 10 extra AP. That feels like it's a big deal because you're getting more AP while you're picking a very safe item. The Everfrost actually is getting nerfed. It was 1.5 seconds of root down to 1 second. I actually would like to talk about that for a second. I didn't see that before.
Yeah, I don't like that change at all,
No.
honestly. Like if you're playing Everfrost, you're gonna be a utility mid laner, right? Well, most likely mid laner.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like
why even get it?
Yeah, just go fucking Ludens or Leandries at this point. Like,
Yeah.
utility mid laners,
It's almost like a
just build damage. Fuck it.
Because Vanguard goes this every game pretty much, and Vanguard doesn't really care about AP because he just gets it from his passive. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's a little deserved. The item's cheap as hell, and the active is very good. So I know I was trying out a bit of TF before the patch, and TF also goes Everfrost every game, and it feels so gross to gold card somebody into Everfrost, and then they're just stuck there for like it's like 3.5 seconds. So
Sure, but most of that it was the TF gold card though, no?
yeah, it's 2 seconds at max. So it's 3.5 with Everfrost. But like shit, like that combo is so like gross in general. And with like Vigar, if you just get somebody in the cage, you're almost like guaranteed to hit the middle. So like, I can see it. It's mainly just seems like a Vigar nerf because that's like the only champion that I guess maybe Ari builds it sometimes too. But like
Silas
like
builds this every game.
Well, like
Rise.
if they're gonna nerf Everfrost, I would rather see them just lower the AP because the point of the item is the length of the route. Like the champions that take it are utility mid laners. They're not typically gonna just build a shit ton of damage. Like if you're playing Ari, like the point of Ari is the charm into the Everfrost or the Everfrost charm, right? Like it's to set up someone else. Like why are we lowering the stun? Just lower the damage.
Well, I don't agree with that direction. Like I get that yes, it's a utility item. What I would say instead is don't nerf the root, lower the amount that they get slowed by if you don't hit it. That way you're punishing people for not hitting the root on them. But you're not making it worse for people that were using it well. That's my thought.
That or like some like how they changed Pantheon's Q to make it narrower.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know. Make it have 2 stun sections, right? Like there's the very middle that's 1.5, and then slightly outside of that is 1 second. Like that would be fine too. But
Yeah.
I mean, 1.5 down to 1 second is
That's huge.
kind of fucking ridiculous.
That's a 33%, not percentage point, 33% nerf there. That's a big deal. But yeah. Next item, Leandries. This item was, I'd say it's due for a nerf, even though I play a lot of Leandries people. I'm sad, but the burn damage is down by 10 flat damage per second. I believe this is per second, or maybe it's over a few seconds this whole damage is, but 10 flat while the AP and max health ratios are not being changed. That seems warranted. I would maybe say it's a little bit over. I would have put it at 55, 55 instead of that.
I think that's quite a bit. Yeah. Like, do you think that this? Well, I mean, Riftmaker got nerfed too, but do you think that it kind of shifts Lilia's like desired build away from Leandries back to Riftmaker, even if she's going Dark Harvest?
Yes, I would say that yes, I think Riftmaker has been better on her prior to the durability updates and is better now in how I've played her. I will say that Leandries with Conqueror before durability updates did not feel good, but that felt pretty good now. But I still think Conqueror with Riftmaker, and you're just going as much healing as you can, feels fantastic. You can splash in tank items, and they cannot kill you. You're doing lots of damage. You're healing, even without red buff. Like, you can see the health going up. You're getting the tooltips of health going up on your champion every tick. And it's disgusting with extra healing from the resolve tree, the healing from Riftmaker. You're grabbing bruiser and AP tank items. Like it just.
Well, like up until today, up until these changes, like I didn't think that Conquer felt like I didn't think Conquer was something you could go in most games. Like it had to be.
Disagree.
Oh, see, I thought it was a lot better in melee heavy enemy comps.
Yeah, it is.
Like if it's gonna be ranged and stuff, like you're gonna be able to get away from them regardless because of your passive stack. But like
So the way that I differentiated for Lilia specifically about depending on Leandry versus Riftmaker was, am I going to be able to essentially one rotation them mid game and kick them out of, like, whether or not I kill them, are they going to have to eject themselves from the fight if I one rotation them? And if the answer is no, then I should be going Riftmaker and Conqueror, or at least Leandry's and Conqueror. Like most ADC, like half the ADCs, you could not be one rotationing them. Like the ones that I'm thinking of that were popular, it's really hard to get onto MF if she knows what she's doing. So Misfortune, Samira, you can't really one rotation. Zeri, you couldn't hit there. But you could absolutely one rotation in Ezreal if he doesn't know what he's doing, or Jinx, or you cannot do it with Aphelios, and Aphelios is popular. You can't do it with Tristana at all because she'll just hop away and then knock you away. So I definitely think that Riftmaker was better in those cases. But then against supports, you don't really pick Riftmaker, or you don't really change it based on the support you're facing that much.
I meant more not necessarily between Riftmaker and Leandry's. I just meant more between going Dark Harvest or Conqueror. If it was against a lot of range, I'm going Dark Harvest, and if it's against a lot of melees, I'm going Conqueror.
I would say I don't think that the melee range mattered as much for my calculus. It was the squishy versus bruiser / tankiness of the team overall. If there was,
well, yeah, fair, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
so
typically, if the tankier and bruisier, they're gonna be melee more likely, right?
Right, but
I mean, yeah, you can get a fed Samira that's just drain tanking your team.
Well, but I'm also thinking like, Teemo would make me go Conqueror more. Kale would make me want to go Conqueror more. LeBlanc would make me want to go Conqueror just because it's hard to actually lock her down. Like I'm saying, like if I can't one rotation the champion, or at least like get them half health without ulting them, then I don't want to be going Dark Harvest that game. And so as
I see what you're saying now with the one rotation, because when I'm playing against like the rangier comps,
yeah,
I am looking more for a Q ult, and then I can one rotation them, right? I don't care who it is. If they're an ADC, you can one rotation them with the ult. That's why I will sit there and say Dark Harvest into rangy teams. But if you're looking at it like you said, without using an ult, yeah, that Conqueror would make more sense.
Yeah, and especially with healing being inherently more powerful now because of the Grievous Wounds changes, which we just talked about, and there's more in depth about that, and that and with the durability increases, like I think that it's just better overall to be going Conqueror 9 games out of 10 now and building.
I just wasn't getting
I
just wasn't getting the healing out of Conqueror when I was playing it, unless it was into melee stuff.
That's fair. Yeah, you have to space yourself, right? And
that could also be the inexperience on Lilia. Like I played Conqueror into a few ranged games and was getting like 400 to 500 Conqueror healing in 30 minutes, but I'd go play against Set, Wukong, I don't know, whatever mid lane, and then a melee support, and I was pulling close to 1,000 every game.
The thing is, though, it's not just the Conqueror. It's Conqueror plus Revitalize plus there's another one in the green tree that I can't think of. in the resolve tree, plus your passive, which is healing you, plus Rift Maker, which is healing you. So it's all, and then Demonic making you tankier. So it's like all of that together, you're getting all that healing that you're looking for. So like I would encourage you not to look at it from just a Conqueror standpoint.
I think my favorite build on her was the with Dark Harvest with Rift Maker and then into Demonic, into like tankier stuff like Zanya's and stuff like that. I think that was my favorite build. So I'll probably gravitate back towards that now that Leandri's kind of got shit on.
Yeah, they're two different play styles though as well. So if you're looking more to one-shot people, then absolutely the Dark Harvest makes more sense to you. And by no means are either of them is there one superior in all cases. It's situational based on what you're playing. It's a play style. It's a play style differences too.
Yeah, it sounds like the way we're playing her is just different.
Yeah, I've gravitated more towards the bruisery style, but yeah. Enough about Lilia. We're boring Sean. I saw him twiddling with his fingers, so let's move on to the tank items. Oh, I guess I missed that. Also, Riftmaker lost 10 AP, and then not anymore of the Omnivamp though, or anything that it gives you, or the true damage. But
I think that was warranted though. I don't think. I mean, if you're gonna be drain tanking, I mean, 10 AP.
Sure, I would have
like yeah, it's gonna hurt, but I don't think that it was as big of a hit as what Leandri's took. Like,
agreed.
So I don't know.
And then Night Harvester is also, well, that's getting buffed actually. It gained 10 ability haste, and the cooldown per champion went down to 30 seconds. The cooldown per champion I don't think matters that much, but the ability haste, that helps a little bit, 10 extra ability haste. And then tank items, they're making them all stronger, all of them, I think. So Bami's Cinder is the core for all the mythics, is going down by 1,000 gold. Or not 1,000. Oh my god!
I wish it was 1,000.
That would be so cool.
Fuck a jungle item. I'm just building Bommies.
Yep. 100 gold it's going down by, and that's in the.
Or no, you could still get your jungle item. You just wouldn't need your refills. That'd be fine. You just get one red potion. Dude, I think that's huge, honestly, because the amount of times I'll go back to base with 1,000 gold instead of 1,100 is like, I feel like that is gigantic because you can get Bami Cinder.
Yeah.
Much quicker. You don't have to go through a second like sequence of your camps or go for a second gank.
Or sell your refillable pot if you're 60 or 70 shy. Yeah. Yeah. So that, and
the other tank items I don't really care about. The only one that I think is big, and that's partly to do with what I was saying about Sterix earlier, is Spirit Visage getting 10 extra magic resist. It kind of pushes it. It pushes it closer to what the 70 that Force of Nature gives, right? Isn't that what it gives? 70?
I think so, yeah.
So, I mean, and before it's like, okay, if your champion isn't healing a lot, you probably just shouldn't go Spirit Visage. But now, like, a Spirit Visage on stuff with a Rift Maker, like Mordekaiser inherently is buffed from this. Swain is buffed from this.
It's also shields though, because it says heals and shields are 25%.
Yeah, and which is why I brought up the Sterix.
Right.
Like, that shield is just ridiculous. Like, if I play against a team with heavy magic damage, I'm building this shit on Zinzao, and that shield is never gonna get popped. The Gore Drinker slash is gonna heal you for so much more. Like,
Red Cane.
Yeah, no, Red Cane too. Like, that'd be disgusting.
Yeah. So all of the tank mythics got, the total cold cost was unchanged, so just the Bommies is cheaper. They all got 100 extra health as well. Abyssal Mask got 5 more MR, and the passive was increased, but whatever. Abyssal Mask sucks. Knight's Vow got 10 more ability haste. Knight's Vow is secret OP. I firmly believe that. It's like sleeper OP. Randuin's Omen got 10 extra armor. I don't think it needed it. It was already a very good item. Don't think it needed it. As we went over Spirit Visage, and then Zeke's Convergence, very niche item, 10 more armor. Feels good. That feels good for supports. Fighter items. Now, we've been talking about these a lot through the episode, but now let's actually go through them. So, Death Dance, a much needed nerf, I will say, even though I use Death Dance in most of the champions I play. The heal, which goes off after a champion takedown, it was 140% of your bonus AD, now it's 120% of your bonus AD. This feels warranted because with that plus Triumph, it was too much healing happening when someone dies. I firmly believe that. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, I mean, it was the new
Yeah.
Sterix Gauge second item on any bruiser.
It
I'm
still
pretty sure
probably
I
is, but
said
yeah.
that, but the
Yeah,
patch
you
I
did,
got
you
buffed,
did.
I literally said this is everybody's just gonna build this instead, and that's
Yeah, I mean,
exactly what happened.
they wanted to get away from a class of champions all building the same item second by nerfing Sterix and buffing Death's Dance, and congratulations, you just replaced one with the other.
So here, Sterix is right here on the screen. Then we'll cover this out of order. So, bonus AD, it was 40%. Now it's 45% bonus AD. That's not that big, and the Lifeline Shield 70% to 75% bonus health. So, I see what you're saying. It's a buff while Death Dance got nerfed. I think they're closer to being more viable options together. However, I still would lean towards Death Dance being better as a general purchase. There are going to be champions that feel better with Sterix specifically, especially the
Like I will build Sterix on Zen. I will build it on Vi over Death's Dance. I can't really say on Jarvan, but it feels a lot better with like anything that you're going like pseudo tanky.
Mhm.
Like I played a game earlier playing similar to like the Hecarim build for a while, where you'd go Kim Tank into Bruiser.
Mhm.
Except I went Kim Tank Sterix and then into resistances, so just like Thornmail and Spirit Visage.
Sure.
And Vi was still pumping out a shit ton of damage because of all the the max HP from her passive, and she was staying alive forever. And the sticking power from her Q with the ability haste from Kim Tank was ridiculous. And then you just couldn't die because your shield from Sterix bumped up with the Spirit Visage was just stupid.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I will say I don't necessarily agree that it's you replace one item with another. I think they're just closer to being in line with one another. But
I think that you can like
it's situational based on the champion.
I think this gets it into what they wanted originally when
Yes.
they nerfed Sterix, where you have to like one is not the answer for every game.
Agreed. However, if you're a Triforce user and you're not Ezreal, please build Steric's second item. It was great before, it's even better now because it doesn't give you bonus AD, it gives you all flat AD or base AD it counts towards. So then it increases the Triforce proc and Triforce scale with the Sheen and all, and they synergize with one another so well. So if you're building Triforce on, Gnar, if you're building it on Darius, if you're building it on Garen or something.
Sterix counts as bonus AD.
It doesn't.
It counts as
here.
bonus AD, but the amount of bonus AD you get is 45% of your base. So like it doesn't give you base AD. It's still counted as bonus.
That's a good clarification there. I misspoke there. Thank you. But
if that was the case, yeah, you'd get ready for Darius building Trinity Force Sterix, and good luck.
But it was better before, or it was good before to build that combination. Now it's even better because Triforce didn't get nerfed. Nothing else got nerfed in that realm, and Sterix got better. So if you were building that before, it feels better in all cases, but I would encourage people to experiment and try that on different champions. You should try it on Vi, actually, because Triforce works pretty well with her.
Yeah, I will go, like, right now, honestly, the Kim Tank build felt really good, so I need to experiment with that more. But when it was before the durability change, I would say I was going Sunder in 7 out of 10 games, Triforce in 1, or Eclipse in 2.
Sure.
Because like if a team is generally squishier, you're choosing between Triforce and whatever fucking lethality item I just said, Eclipse. And I'm gonna lean towards the Eclipse because Vi is more of a feast or famine type champion early.
Right. Yep. Couple of other item changes here. Maw got its cooldown increase from 60 to 75. That seems fine. I thought Maw was for when it made sense. Now that since they buffed it a few patches ago, it was very good in the situations where it made sense. Whereas before, it just didn't make sense to buy it. But
I still think it's good. Like
it's good.
I think it needed the increase in the cooldown, but I mean I don't think that people will not build it because of that cooldown.
No, because the shield actually means something now, and yeah, it's good. So yep, if you were gonna build Maw before, still build Maw. Just don't build it when it doesn't make sense to build it. Itemize appropriately and think with your head, people. And then Bork, we were talking about this earlier in the context of Irelia. The lifesteal is going up by 1%, and her healing went up by 2% of her AD. So she's getting more healing than she had before the durability update happened. I'm terrified because
yeah, this is also
scary.
another item that I'll rush on Zen instead of an Essence Reaver. Like if I just don't think I need a Sheen item, I'll just rush a Blade of the Ruined King and a Gore Drinker now.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing this in Community Night last night. I was playing Trundle and with Lethal Tempo, and I got Sunder first, but I was like 8-0, so then I just bought a full Bork, and it was kind of absurd. I was just smashing people down with it, and healing more is just, it's great. So this item will feel much better, or not necessarily much better, it'll feel better. How much healing this actually equates to totally depends on the champion, the situation. But if you were building it before, it's even better now. I don't know. It depends on the situation if you're going to build it. If you weren't before, though, so yep. And then Gore Drinker, last of the Bruiser item changes. Just getting it was 5 mythic. Or 5 ability haste per legendary item for the mythic passive. Now it's up to 7. 2 ability haste per item. Whatever. 10 ability haste at late game. Or I guess not even 10 because boots don't count and it doesn't count itself. So you're getting 8 additional ability haste. BFD. This does nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Cool, 2 extra ability haste. Like it, like you said, it doesn't do anything, but like,
I mean fine, okay. I
yeah,
don't hate
whatever.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
thanks, I guess.
Sean, maybe this will make your Aatrox better then.
This is what he needed. He needed that 2 ability haste on a second item.
I mean, at the end of the day, free stats are free stats.
Yeah.
Even if they're small, so.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna complain about it.
Well, we just complained about it, but we won't complain about it anymore.
I mean, we didn't really complain about it. We just
Sure.
said that it doesn't really do anything.
Sure,
But
yeah.
like Sean said, free stats.
Yep. Okay, last 2 items. We're getting close to wrapping up. So, Kraken Slayer is getting nerfed as it needed to get nerfed for sure. It's losing 5% bonus AD ratio and 10 on hit, 10 flat. So that's a big nerf. I think it's appropriate though. I don't know, Sean, you've been playing a decent amount of ADCs as I've seen in Community Night at least. What do you or when you've been playing this or playing against it, do you think that this nerf was warranted? And if so, did they hit it enough or too much?
I haven't really gotten a lot of a chance to play it on this patch, but like, I mean, Kraken was like kind of head over heels better on the last patch on 12-10.
Yeah.
I actually wasn't really playing a ton of AD carry, but I was trying to learn action, and you were like going Kraken Slayer literally every game on action. So like, maybe that changes up his build.
I doubt it.
But yeah, probably not. But
Okay.
yeah, it's just funny to me how much all AD carry mythics have been nerfed over time, and they're like all just starting to get like so weak. I feel like they had to kill Shield Bow, and then they killed Gale Force, and now they're coming for Kraken. Like, I mean, it makes sense because like just like naturally by the way like the patch changed everything. Like Kraken was just gonna be way better than the other two just by the health increases, but
yeah.
So like it's obviously deserved, I guess, just to keep it in line with the other two.
Umbral Glaive cooldown going up by 5. So it used to be, because it was 35 here. I think it was 45, and then they buffed it to 30. I thought they must have hot fixed it to 35, but now it's 40. So still relative to, or maybe it went from 45 to 35. But like they're saying in the little blurb about it right here, reverting half the cooldown from buff 12.7. I like this when they identify something that they think is overpowered. They take if they just buffed something, or they walk back a buff that they think will affect it, and they walked it back halfway here. I think that this is a good change here. Yeah.
Yeah, that item is stupid strong. I'll say that. Like I don't think a lot of people like saw it, but then all of a sudden like Graves was like building it every game, and like Pike started building it, and all of a sudden like you just can't keep wards like wherever they are on the map. Like great, like that's like a big annoying part about Graves' kit is like killing like wards, because you only have your 2 shots, but with Umbral you like 2 hit wards or you 1 hit them.
Same with Jin.
I don't know, man. Yeah, it's what. Yeah, I actually have not tried that out yet. Maybe I will, but I just like going Gale Force first so much. But
Well, before the durability patch, I was doing a stupid niche build on Vi, and I was rushing Umbral because it was just so cheap to get a lethality power spike that I would rush Umbral into Triforce, but you're running Electrocute, and you were just, I mean, you just burst anybody. Like, the only thing you can't burst is a tank, and it's you just one shot them. Like, I think the cost of Umbral is more an issue than the cooldown.
Yeah, what's the 5 seconds? This isn't a big deal at all. This doesn't change the item. It's the cost of it.
Like, yeah, the item is still going to be broken. Like, this, I mean, and yeah, you compare it or you combine it with Zombie Ward, and it's just dumb.
If they really want to tamp down on the abusers of it, they need to lower the bonus AD ratios on Graves and Jin specifically. Then this will appear as less of an issue, and it'll put it back into support where it was intended.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah,
I don't know. I don't think
too.
this does much to the item at
Yeah.
all.
I mean, it doesn't do a ton, but like, it's worth mentioning that they didn't change lethality items at all in this patch, and they like originally were planning on buffing them a bit, and then they decided to take it out like last second. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what they're probably just gonna like analyze the metrics and see, because I think the general consensus was like assassins were like bad like the first day, and then they like kind of got better as the patch went on, as they kind of figured out how to play better around like the health changes.
plus hot fixes that happened too.
Yeah. So we'll have to see if they do bring back the lethality changes. Like Umbral might just get better. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep, so that's the end of the items. Their outer turrets, the damage is going down early but going up late.
I don't like
Because
that, honestly.
I think that this was fine. Like turrets do a lot. This is the first patch in a while that I felt that turrets were doing appropriate levels of damage. Years ago, they used to do a lot of damage. Like you had to really know what you were doing to pull off a turret dive. And then a couple patches ago, like up until recently, turrets didn't really do that much. It's like, okay, I can tank 3 or 4 turret shots at level 3 or level 4. Like it was absurd.
Yeah, it should be much harder to dive early.
Yep.
And I think that the increased turret damage was a good thing.
I will say, if you look at the changes, it's down by 5 damage at minute 0, so it doesn't really probably change all that much. But they were hitting it because there were people complaining about it. So, yep. That's the end of that change here. We didn't see there weren't really any specific bug fixes or quality of life changes. Although, except for this one's kind of funny, fixed a bug where Graves' runes would not swap off of Glacial Augment despite not being able to proc it. Sorry, Everfrost Graves mains. Yeah, but Ocean Song skins are coming out. Don't really like them all that much. Battle Boss Belveth looks okay. There's another Clash coming up, but yeah, so that's the end of patch 12.11. we did get one listener question, which I want to talk about quickly before we hit the 2-hour mark, because we got a first listener question in a while. So, T Hubs with a Z, capital Z actually, basically mentions that we recently had a discussion with Nidalee main. He's talking about Juke Sane, and he says, I don't quite understand the point of playing your main when smurfing. I don't completely understand if you smurf and play off-roll off-roll stuff to learn a new champion or how to play a new role. Is it an ego thing? You just want to shit on worse players and ruin their gaming experience to make yourself feel good? He says, sorry for coming off a bit frustrated. He does sound a little heated, but having games ruined by smurfs when I just want to queue up and test my might against same skilled players takes the fun out of the game that's already frustrating at times.
I completely agree with everything he said.
Sean?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, he's right, but
The
I
point
don't
of the
know.
point of smurfing should be to help teach a friend who's new to the game how to play so that they're in a more comfortable environment, or for you to go and learn a new role or new champions in your role.
Right.
Eric should not be going into games in bronze and playing Lilia.
Bro, I suck at Lilia. I should be in bronze. That's where I belong.
Okay, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know,
Take
yeah.
anybody's main champion and put them 3 divisions lower, you're going to just shit all over everybody.
Yeah, it shouldn't. And he's a grandmaster, so if his Smurf is in gold or silver with people, that's like 5 to 6 tiers away. That's a big deal. And so like we're not saying
that's not even
anything.
fun.
Yeah, so and not to say anything against Juke Sane. We had him on the podcast. He's a good dude, but just the practice of people playing on Smurfs for stuff other than, like we were saying, to learn new things that don't work, that you won't be able to play super well or play in a fair environment on your main account, or to help someone, it's just not a help someone who's learning the game, or play with people who are not as good as you, but you don't want them to be way overclassed if there's a massive rank difference. I would say that, yeah, you should not be smurfing, and it makes I don't enjoy playing against smurfs. I don't like playing with smurfs. It just feels it's cheesy. Shouldn't happen.
I'm all for, like, when I get into promos, I most definitely will get one of my friends that's a mid, and I will just camp him. But I'm not going to go get someone that's a plat or diamond mid laner. Like, it's going to be their main account, and it's going to be of a similar rank.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not like, I'll go get Bomo and just be like, all right, I'm going to camp your fucking lane, and you're just going to carry.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go get, like, if I was a support, I'm not going to go get Dan Man. Be like, all right, here we go. Masters ADC, get me into gold, baby. Come on.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I
I
agree
will
with
say,
you.
like, I think it's just like a bad mindset to have. That it's just like a shitty experience altogether, though, because it is something good to learn against. Like, we have this happen all the time in community game night where everybody wants to ban out Daman's Vayne because it's ridiculous to play against as like a player that isn't a master player. But like, it honestly, like, you're not gonna experience anything like that in like your elo probably. So if you're like gold, like, you're never gonna see anything like Daman's Vayne. So I personally would much rather play against it and like see how well he can like push the champion, because like I'm personally just never gonna see that in my games. It's something I just don't get to experience. So I like to see it. I don't really care if I get shit on. Like, I've played
Does he
thousands
even
of games
play
of
it,
League.
though?
Like, it gets banned like every game.
Well, but like,
like,
if it wasn't banned, would he even play it? Like,
Sometimes.
is it even fun for him at that point?
Well, sometimes
I'm
he's
sure
played it.
it
Yeah.
is.
I mean, even
Yeah, I
but
mean,
even
Maybe the first game it's very fun, right?
but even when it's not even necessarily that he's gonna carry, because I've played against him when he's playing Vayne, and I remember I played Nunu one game and camped bot lane, and we put him in the ground and he couldn't recover in time. So like, it's possible, like you're saying, to learn to play against who are really good people on their champions and adapt to it. But yeah, to the point where T Hubs was bringing up, there are definitely toxic ways to use Smurfs, and I don't love those practices. But there are ways that Smurfs can help depending on the situation, like you brought up,
Yeah,
Sean. That's
I
a
would.
good point, though,
I
Sean.
would really rather have some way to implement like one account. Like if they could make it to where somehow it's tied to where I can't just go create another account and rank it to 30 or go buy an account. Like somehow maybe link it to your IP, right? Like
Yeah.
you can have one
Well,
account. I would rather that
what
than
about a
have people
VPN,
able to
though?
smurf.
What about
Do
VPNs,
what?
though? VPNs.
I mean, yeah, you're not going to be able to get around that, but
I mean, that's also like then if you were to try it, like Korea has accounts tied to their version of social security numbers. Well, then you just sign up one under your mom's name, or your
yeah.
girlfriend or someone who doesn't play. So there's no real way to get around that.
There's ways to get around it, right? But that would cut down a lot.
For sure. What I will say, what I would to your point, Kai, earlier, of people, a good reason to have a Smurf is to try out different things of different roles. And T Hubs brings it up here. That is not your new role or not your permanent role. Then go back to like a few years ago, they had role based ELO and role based, what the hell am I trying to say? Role based rank. And the community did not like that. I personally liked it because then when I played ADC, I wasn't being matched against plat players or so right now with my elo. I was being matched against considerably weaker players, maybe playing on their mains, but I'm playing on an off role. Then I'm able to learn that in the correct environment there. And I thought that that was a great idea. However, it wasn't received all that well. But if
I don't even know that you could like I can imagine that increased queue times though.
some, but it
Like
wasn't it
it
wasn't
had to have been
terrible.
a lot more information for the system to process.
Well, but you could just choose Phil, and then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, fair.
And people do that. There are people that fly into ranked and Phil.
Tyler won.
There you go.
Korea filled Masters. Couldn't make it to Challenger though.
Nope. So yeah. Well, it's been a long episode, and with that, I say let's wrap it up, gents. So, thank you for the listener question, T-Hubs. And if anyone else has questions, please submit them at questions@trinityforcepodcast.com. We have community game nights on Tuesday evenings or afternoons, depending on the time zone where you are. But action starts at 7:15 Eastern time. We also would like to shout out our patrons. So thank you, all of the patrons that we have. I'm not going to read out all the names because I don't have a list in front of me. I forgot to grab that. I wasn't super organized today. But yes, thank you, all of those. And we do post some original content to the Patreon, as well as do replay and coaching reviews. We've gotten a couple of those recently, and it's been great. So those are just some of the benefits, but if you want to check out more of those benefits, you can go to our Discord or our website as well. But yeah, please throw us some feedback. We love it. So thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been the Trinity Force Podcast, episode 769, and we will see you all next time.
Peace.